We're on. All right, being that it is 6:15, we're gonna call this public hearing to order. The fire exits are outside that door at each end of the hall. There is a defibrillator across the hall if one is needed. Clerk, please call the roll.
Burbach.
Here.
Wright.
Here.
Volko. Here. Yeager.
Here.
Bos.
Here. Requesting town board resolution to open a public hearing to review and receive comments on the 2025 preliminary budget for the town of Hammond. So moved. Second.
Burbach.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Volko. Yeager.
Yes.
Bos.
Yes. So, we have open, so has anybody looked at it, and does anybody have any questions? I would say from the tentative budget, we did pare it down, we still stayed underneath our 2%, we did not raise the tax cap with this budget, so, which is good. We tried not to.
The only question I had was, with the discussion about the insurance tonight, does that need to be?
Comes later. There are a couple things that I wanted to change, but if you're all reading, and keep on reading, there's actually not a dollar, I don't want to change the dollar thing at all. But on page 5, I believe, minus don't say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay. At 7020.10 culture and recreation, we do not have a recreation director anymore. We haven't for years. It's a recreation supervisor. I would like to see that change supervisor. 7140.10. I would like to see just the word playgrounds and taken out. And just have that as recreation salary. Because it's really not playgrounds. There's 3 of them in a row that said playgrounds. Really, none of them are playgrounds. It's
I
all
think because originally it was the playground
original.
camp is what it was called years ago.
Right.
So I think it just stayed that way.
Right, absolutely. So just for clarity, we're just gonna take off the word playground and make that just recreation salary on 7140.10. 7140.20, again, take off playground and just make it rec equipment. And 7140.40, playground and just make it rec contractual. I say we didn't, not changing a dollar, 1 penny difference, we're just changing the name of a couple of things. That have been like that for years, we probably should have changed it, but we'll do it now.
I just have a quick question about that. That's not because of recent discussions about playground, rec versus parks.
It will help.
Nothing to do with that?
It will help keep things separate. It will help keep things separate, but it does have nothing to do with playgrounds, really.
I mean, it's not trying to say that the playground out there isn't part of the recreation department. Is that in fact?
Well, the playground does belong to the parks. Anything on town property, just like the playground up in Huntington and stuff that they just put in a couple of years ago, that belongs to the parks. So, yeah, this will clarify a few things also, but it's something that needs to be changed, just like the supervisor and director.
Could you clarify on the Huntington one? I maybe I misunderstood you. That park's been there since I moved in 77.
There's a new playground up there 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Just the playground equipment.
The playground equipment, yes.
Okay.
But that's what we're talking about, playground equipment
That's right.
out here belongs to parks. Up there it belongs to parks. If we put any down there on Brick Schoolhouse Road, which we may get a grant and stuff, that would belong to the parks, that equipment. The upkeep and stuff would belong to the parks.
So what is the separation of
parks equipment and recreation equipment. You just said anything in the park. So the parks are now taking all of the tennis courts, the basketball courts. That stuff's always been paid for out of recreation. Is that now becoming parks?
It doesn't get paid for the recreation. Parks,
Yes, it does. Why did she just bought the pickleball nets for it? Because they're hers. They're recreation.
ARPA paid for the pickleball nets.
They came through the recreation budget, right?
Yes, just like
So what,
stuff came through your budget and that we paid you with ARPA funds.
I'm just asking you to clarify where you're dividing parks and recreation.
We are going to, I have started to write up a list of what is recreation and what is parks, and we'll give it to the town board by at least our next meeting, and let you guys all look at it, and that will be and we can have a discussion at our next meeting about that. We will have a discussion on when everything on end of park should be parks, it always kind of has that.
Next meeting, you're talking at 7?
No, the next meeting, on the 12th of November. But we will have a breakdown of what is parks and what is
So
recreation.
none of that will affect the budget.
No,
Or just the title, or title.
it's just who's in charge of what, it doesn't affect the budget at all.
But will it affect, I guess my question is, will it affect what accounts things can come out of down the line? So if I said we're putting the cart before the horse, we're not gonna have the discussion about who owns what, but we're gonna take out playgrounds, we're kind of making the decision of who owns what by doing that. Like, I think we need to have that discussion first, and then
What
decide.
recreation pays for right now is baseball dirt, goals, soccer equipment, summer sports stuff, paint to stripe the fields, their program stuff. That's what they pay for. They do not pay for, just like you expect recreation pay for the playground equipment up in Huntington.
It belongs to a private, that's a special district playground. That doesn't,
Right,
it's not even this one.
I understand that, but I'm saying that a playground, what about the playground if you put it down in Brick Schoolhouse Road?
The schoolhouse road is a general park with all the rest of the general park, so.
This is a general park.
That's fine, but Jennifer's just asking you, where does the money come from for these things, and does that change? The playground and recreation budget was what funded nets for the basketball hoops. It funded the nets for the tennis courts, the pickleball courts. Is all of that changing and coming to the parks contractual? The parks will now be paying for all of this.
I guess my question is really like, if we're taking out that nomenclature and taking out playground, are we limiting what the money can be used for? Or does it not affect it?
Correct me if I'm wrong, playgrounds always used to come out of parks.
I always took it up, when I was highway superintendent, it always came in the parks.
So it shouldn't, right?
But and that's fine, clarify that. But all that money that was used for that is not in the park's contractual budget. All those things, and we're taking dirt that's part of our fields out of recreation, but now we're not taking nets out of recreation. So there's still, things aren't straight.
I think it's hard, so let's say, like, who stripes the field?
The recreation pays the parks crew to stripe. The recreation owns the striper, they buy the paint.
And then what they pay you with it?
Yeah.
And how do we keep that separate? Because it seems like that's how we,
Well, that's always been, and that's
There's
why.
like a labor version of what they do, and there's the equipment and the cost version of what the, light rep has.
Parks, I mean, is parks grounds, or is parks recreation equipment and the grounds? I mean, the tennis courts are recreation equipment, right? The playground is recreation equipment. What is Parks assuming here?
Parks is assuming structures or whatever, I mean, a tennis court, the basketball hoops and everything, I would say are permanent structures right now, they're parks.
Okay.
Soccer nets, stuff like that, is, you take it, you only have it out during soccer season, so I would say that that would be recreation. That's a program affiliated, it's not a, there is no basketball program, it's just the courts are just out there for everybody, they play in the winter. They play tennis in the winter. If it's clear.
So when recreation has summer camps and they utilize those and they take in the money from those, then Parks is providing all the equipment for the recreation to use.
It's just like the general public, like a couple of churches bring their groups, youth groups up here to use the playgrounds or basketball courts or whatever. We don't charge for using, we don't charge the public for using our basketball courts or playgrounds or whatever.
Well, nobody said we did, but we're just trying to draw a line on, you're separating these out, so what's what?
But I guess maybe if, like, parks, we didn't budget this year for any of this stuff. So if we're saying now that rec isn't gonna pay for it, well then we need to adjust the budget and take some money out of here and put it in parks.
It's-
We never had this conversation
Right.
prior to just now. So you can't just say like, okay,
Rec
well, we-
hasn't paid for it in the past.
Rec, ever since I've been, Rec pays for all of those nets, they pay for all that stuff.
But with our ARPA funds lately, rec, just like,
But we're not
Yeah,
talking about our, come on.
Yeah, you gotta take care of it.
well, ARPA has been there for the last 2 or 3 years, right?
Yes, but
Now, okay, no, keep that in mind, 2 or 3 years, how long has Mike been highway superintendent?
But ARPA has not paid for those items. ARPA's paid for the big improvements that we've done.
ARPA paid for the nets.
ARPA paid for the pickleball nets, but
Right.
not the tennis court nets we replaced in the last few years, not all those other things related to recreation. So that's, if we're assuming those repair costs, then the parks contractual needs to be higher to reflect that.
You're in the, budget meeting for the,
Well, he's here for the town
No.
board meeting.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just here
Okay.
early.
Yeah.
Just making sure you're in the right building.
and relax.
Well, for all of next year, we have the counties ARPA for all of next year, so it's not gonna be an issue. For 2026 budget, then if we need to, we can budget more in the parks. Next year, we don't have to worry about it, there's plenty enough money.
Okay. So,
But I think I understand what he's saying.
I understand what you're saying too, but.
He's just trying to figure out from his perspective what he's gonna have to be
Right.
responsible for.
I think
And
that's a discussion between Mike and.
And I
Kelly.
said we'll do that our next meeting, we're gonna have a list and everything, we'll go over it
I
our next
think he's
meeting.
just worried about the budget.
No,
Where the money's gonna go from there. So
This year, we don't have to worry about it, we got a whole bunch of ARPA funds, we will budget for it in 26. The 12th meeting in November, we will go over
I get that.
all the criteria of what belongs to who.
Going back to Jennifer's point, just taking the playground out of there really isn't gonna affect recreation or the funds.
Not this year, no. And we'll talk about it, because we got enough ARPA funds to make everything match this year, coming up 25.
But in the transition point,
We can,
it'll all happen.
when we figure out what everything is, what all the things are, when we do the budget next year, we can allow for that. Question in the audience?
Yeah, I was just spitballing out here, just listening to this. What if, could you do it? I know some towns do it where they put Parks and Rec in one department, you know? I mean, it's kind of, it's really blurring the line, like, Mike said, it's really hard, I mean, I see you got parks equipment on there too, so, and then it's like, he did make a good point too, grounds, or I could see that, you know, stay separate, and then parks and rec kinda go to their way, and then, you know, they got the grounds department.
Some towns have parks and recs together, I
Just,
agree.
yeah, just,
We never have.
no, I know, but it maybe is, we're at that
In
point
the
where,
future, maybe we can, yes.
you know, maybe help, cause yeah, I think it does get blurry at times, it sounds like, so.
In the
But-
future, we can.
I guess if you spell it out to the nth degree where, yeah, the structure is, you know, parks, the wearable item is, you know, rec. But,
No, we can maybe discuss that in the future.
Yeah, just-
Combining the two recs and. rec
more,
and parks.
more things to throw in your pile of thoughts, right?
That's fine, No, a bunch of towns have.
Yeah, that's why I'm just, you know,
You're
thinking, might make it cleaner.
It might. Until we do it and try it and see it, it
Maybe,
might.
maybe, but I think for years we've done okay. Right? I just think, is there something,
It's always.
it's always been like a really.
I know in the past, when I was director, we split the cost of the gator. That was a long time ago, But like, there were times where both rec and parks put in to purchase things.
It's just, is that because there's more activity, Michael, that
That before me, I don't know.
What's that, Joel?
it's because there's just more activities right now to cover, I guess? Or I didn't realize it was such a problem before. Like, I
There,
think-
there was not a problem. This all came up because recreation has a line item for recreation and playground equipment. So I spoke to Kaylee last Monday, and I said, look, that's your item. We need to go to bid to paint the playground. I said, it should really be your resolution. I will help you with it, but it should come from your office. And then the ARPA money is going into the right account to then come out and do it. That's what we've been trying to do, is straighten things out. There was no issue between her and I about this.
There is no, we're just trying to straighten things out so there's never gonna be an issue. It's all,
I think you're
we're
always.
gonna have,
Never say never.
Yeah, you're always, but I'd say.
well, there can always be an issue, all right, but there is nothing, it's all been word of mouth. For 30 years, it's been word of mouth. There is nothing written. So now we're gonna have something written, that's all. So that if anything should happen, okay, here, it's written. Like I said, it's all been word of mouth for umpteen different people over 30 years. And when you get different people coming in, it all changes. So if we have something written down, it explains. That's all I'm getting.
So could we leave the playground in for this year if it's not gonna affect anything anyway? Cause we have ARPA money until we actually like hash out who's doing what. And then the ARPA money, we need it for the playground, which I think we are using, we can only use for rec, right? With the county ARPA
Reconciliation.
money. So then it's gonna have to go into a rec account, it's not gonna be able to go into a parks account. So I think for this year, we need to leave it as playground and rec so that we can use that account to go into rec. Right.
Cause it's gotta, there will be some,
And that-
it's gonna be a fine line, cause some parks things are gonna be considered recreational costs.
And that was my point of doing this through Kaylee, is since it's earmarked for recreation, it shouldn't be dumped into a parks and trash account that doesn't take care of recreation equipment. And that's where all this stems from.
Did you go to the state comptroller on the requirements for these accounts? I would do that too. I can forward that over to, I forwarded it to Megan a week ago, so I can send that to you as well.
I mean, it'd be nice to clean up some of that, we talked about that. This year. 'Cause it was-
Yeah, we'll leave that.
We could leave that
Here.
right?
Leave it there.
And then next year, if we divide things up a little differently, we should have ARPA fund.
Yeah, 'cause we don't know what.
Well, while we were talking about this, anybody in the audience been had time now to look over your preliminary a little bit, is there any questions about it? Yes,
I'm just curious, obviously the budget went up 2%. It looks like, obviously there's more revenue this, for next year, more expenses, obviously, so you're getting at 2%. And obviously property tax is going up, we did a reassessment. How's this, gonna affect the tax rate?
Cut in half.
yeah,
The rate
the
went
tax rate actually went down.
Yeah,
went
that's what I
from
mean.
4.0662 last year to 2.2477.
Okay. Alright. You'll hear about it, as I say.
You got plenty of time, Diesel, keep on reading. You're okay. If this is the first time you looked at it. Is there any other questions from the board?
No, this was with no change on aid after.
No. No.
For all of the changes that we made at the workshop.
I went through the whole thing. Minus everything that was.
We can't change it.
Right.
Once we have the preliminary budget out, we cannot change it until this public hearing. It's illegal.
In the town clerk budget meeting, we discussed the dog fines,
Yes,
and that is still at 0. Are we still going with no revenue on dog tickets for the year?
I talked to dog control, and I know they've sent you messages too, and asked you for a thing. They're gonna start writing tickets again. I talked to the judges. I do not know if they are going to start finding or not. I do not have any control over a judge. So I don't know. I don't wanna put something in if I don't know if it's gonna be there.
That's, we can't, that's the only, we cannot guarantee those.
Most of the time though, they go to court and then they tell us, or tell them they have to pay their dues and fees, and then that waives any of court fines that are
Right.
due. So,
But without knowing, I don't, it's a
We can't put
gray, it's a
something in.
gray area. I don't wanna put anything in
Without
there.
knowing what-
If we put something in there, surprise, okay, we got revenue.
It's easier to deal with the surplus than the negative.
Right.
Okay, Jamie. Easier for the meeting to, our presentation earlier, or later. No, public budget.
If there's no further discussion, then we'll vote.
Is everybody okay out there? Yes, you know, just make sure. I see a couple are still reading. You still got his
I was just
calculator.
looking at it.
I'm all set, thank you. These numbers.
He's got his
I don't know.
well, that's fine, that's what this
Oh, I-
time is for, if you're checking on things,
I
go
already
ahead.
got 2004, 2005 next to it. I already looked at it, skimmed through, saw the
You're fine.
differences. People got raises, and I'm not shocked, Doing business.
Second.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, so when's the public hearing for the preliminary budget? We will vote on this in our regular meeting. Whether to adopt it as the final budget.
Small group, I don't know if there's smokers out there.
That's it? Yes,
I'm
we
just
should
thinking
have.
of the people.
Motion to,
I can make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, that's right, we gotta do the other part.
What we doing?
motion to adjourn the public meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.